All right, welcome to the explainer. So AI, machine learning, generative AI. You've heard these terms thrown around everywhere, right? But what do they actually mean? Well, today, we're going to untangle all that jargon and demystify the tech that's literally changing our world one layer at a time.
You see these words just everywhere, and a lot of the time, people use them like they're the same thing. But here's the secret. They're not. Not even close. So let's break down what's really going on here, and more importantly, how all these pieces actually fit together.
Okay, first things first. Let's start at the very top with the biggest, broadest concept of them all, artificial intelligence. You can think of this as the granddaddy, the original big idea that kicked this whole thing off.
So at its heart, AI is really this grand quest, right? The big mission to build machines that can think, reason, and act in ways that we would call intelligent. And it's super important to remember, this isn't just one single piece of tech. It's an entire field of computer science.
And the kinds of things we're talking about here, it's a huge range of abilities. You've got perception. That's what lets a system look at a photo and recognize a face. Then there's reasoning, for solving a tricky puzzle. And maybe most importantly, the ability to actually learn from experience and get better over time.
So if there's one thing to take away from this part, it's this. Think of AI as this giant umbrella. Everything else we're about to talk about, it all fits neatly right underneath it. Which, of course, brings up a really big question. How in the world do we get machines to actually do all this stuff? Well, that leads us right into our next layer.
All right, so let's zoom in a bit from that huge umbrella of AI and focus on one of its most powerful tools, machine learning. Honestly, this is where the magic really starts to happen.
This is a really fundamental shift in thinking. See, in traditional programming, a programmer, had to sit down and write out step-by-step rules for every single possibility. But with machine learning, we completely flip that script. Instead of feeding the computer a bunch of rules, we feed it a ton of data and let it figure out the rules all on its own.
And that's the core idea, right there. The machine's performance gets better and better through experience, or in this case, through data. And you don't need a human to go in and constantly rewrite the code. The machine isn't just blindly following instructions anymore. It's literally actually learning on its own.
Okay, so let's go another level deeper. Because within this world of machine learning, there's a really specific, and I mean incredibly powerful subset that has just changed the game completely.
And this is where we get the name deep learning. It's called deep because it uses these complex structures called neural networks that have lots and lots of layers stacked on top of each other. And the coolest part? This whole idea is inspired by the web of interconnected neurons inside our very own brains.
So how does this actually work? Well, imagine you feed a system, say, millions of pictures of cats. The very first layer of the network might just learn to spot simple stuff, like edges or corners. The next layer might take those edges and learn to see shapes. The layer after that combines those shapes to recognize things like ears and whiskers, and on it goes, until that final layer can look at a new picture and say with confidence, yep, that's a cat.
And listen, this isn't just some sci-fi theory. This is real technology that you can use right now. You have systems like Amazon Recognition that use deep learning to do incredibly complex analysis on images and videos, and they do it at a scale and speed that's, well, it's just impossible for a human to match.
All right, now for our final layer. This is the one that's been making all the headlines lately. We're about to move beyond systems that just understand and analyze stuff to systems that can actually create something new.
This right here is the game changer, generative AI. It takes that deep learning foundation and uses it not just to recognize patterns, but to generate totally new, original content. So it's not just about identifying the cat in the picture anymore, it's about creating a picture of a cat that has never, ever existed. This is the point where machines start to go from being just analysts to being artists, writers, creators.
Okay, wow, we've covered a lot of ground there, moving down from layer to layer. So let's do this. Let's zoom all the way back out and see how all these pieces fit together into one nice, clear picture. This really shows that nesting doll structure we've been talking about perfectly. You see it, right? Generative AI is a special type of deep learning. Deep learning, in turn, is a powerful kind of machine learning. And all of machine learning is just one approach under that giant umbrella of artificial intelligence. Each layer is just a more specialized part of the one above it.
So the big takeaway here is that these aren't a bunch of competing ideas. They're an evolution. They're building blocks of capability stacked one right on top of the other.
We've gone on this journey from machines that could simply simulate intelligence, to machines that could learn, and now to machines that can actually create. Which leaves us all with one really fascinating question. What's the next layer we're about to build?